Let's talk about the big, beautiful bill that the Republicans are trying to pass through Congress. Mike Johnson is doing his damnedest to get all of the people involved into one room and get them to make the right decision. Donald Trump wants a big, beautiful bill, and he wants all the tax cuts, and that's basically what this is for. It's just for tax cuts. And, of course, the downside of it is, probably 10 million poor people are going to lose health care. So, got to break a couple eggs to make that omelet. They're doing huge SNAP cuts, so food for poor people. Man, the poor people just don't seem to get a break now, do they? I thought Donald Trump was, he was all about the poorly educated, the poor people, I tell you. They love me, folks. The poors love me. Well, they're going to love you a little bit less when they lose their health care and their food stamps. And by the way, the largest recipient of food stamps in this country are white people, and they're generally rural people living in middle America. So that's Trump country out there. Let's see how it goes. But here's the thing about the big, beautiful bill that you need to understand. Mike Johnson is doing something that is, what's clever. It's not super clever. I mean, it's not like it hasn't been done before, but the idea is that he is going to make all of these cuts to social safety net stuff, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, what have you, under waste, fraud, and abuse. And they're raising I think I mentioned this before, they're raising the amount of money that you're allowed to make before you start having to pay in. And of course, they're asking for work requirements from people who very well could, be invalids, not be able to move around. They're very poor people. They, some of them might be sick or injured or have some kind of debilitating disease, and that's the reason why they're not allowed to work. But you've got to work 80 hours a month, so 20 hours a week, to be able to get these benefits. But if you make over $16,000 a year, which is chicken feed, nobody can live off of $16,000 a year. But if you make over $16,000 a year, then you're beyond the cutoff and you are not allowed to get Medicaid. So, the big, beautiful bill, it seems to be cutting into a lot of just regular, common, hardworking, or just poor people's social safety net. Not to mention that that it is, other than the poor people, going hungry and not getting their health care, the tax cuts that they are working to get that are going to be paid for by the lack of your social safety net, those are all of the big ones, like just bringing down the tax rate in general, and what do they call that? I'm drawing a blank. Capital gains tax, that's when you buy and sell stock. You have a tax on that when you sell that stock. And, not a lot of poor people are trading on the stock market. I'm just taking a wild guess. And, of course, the estate tax, that number is being raised from like $11 million per person to $13 million per person. So, all of the things that the poor people like. Now, all of the smaller tax cuts, and that includes the no tax on tips, which, by the way, I've been working as a bartender and in the restaurant industry for a long, long time, and I have to tell you that this no tax on tip things is not doing jack shit for me or anybody else in the restaurant field, because you're not making enough money for that to actually have an effect. You might be able to save $100 a year from this. So it is basically just the pittance. But the cute little, connective tissue is that if you are a venture capitalist or you work in equity and you get paid a bonus, you could call that a tip. And then you don't have to pay taxes on that tip. So let's just say you get a $100,000 bonus for the job well done that you did at, working in private equity. That can be tax-free. So you save $100 a year on your tips as a bartender or a waitress, but you get tax-free $100,000 from your little bonus from your venture capitalist friend or your private equity. So, that's great stuff. But all of the little ones, like the taxes on tips and so forth, those only last until 2028. Coincidence that it's election year? No! But all the ones, the big ones, the ones that really count, like the capital gains tax and the estate tax and just generally lowering the tax rate itself, that is permanent. That goes on for years and years. So, but to get back to Mike Johnson, what he's doing cleverly is that he is going to defer as many of those SNAP cuts and Medicaid cuts for as long as he possibly can, so you, the American citizen, are not going to feel it so hard until it hits in 2028. And if everything goes the way it's supposed to go, normally speaking, with a president as unpopular and psychotic as Donald Trump is, it is a very good possibility, and that is if we have free and fair elections in 2028, which, it's very possible that we don't, but if everything goes well, they're pretty much guaranteed there's going to be a Democrat who wins the presidency in 2028. And then that's when the hammer falls on all the taxes and all the cuts. And the problem with that is that people are going to blame the person in power. When the bad thing happens, people look to the government and go, it's your fault. It's like, hey, this was done by Mike Johnson. No, it's happening under you, so I'm going to blame you for it. So it's a pretty clever way to do it. And so they're deferring all of the cuts until a little bit later so they can get the tax cut this year. And that is going to be my personal guarantee to you that the rich people are going to get their tax cuts this year. They did it in Donald Trump's first term. They did it in the first year. They got that done toot sweet pretty much immediately. And they're going to pretty much do the same thing with this reconciliation bill that they're pushing through. Now, today, they had quite a few people that did not vote for Mike Johnson's big, beautiful bill. And you're thinking to yourself, well, wow, that's a positive. Maybe it won't go through. No. Don't get excited, because the people who said no were saying, this is not going hard enough. And why can't we kick people off of Medicare right now? Why can't we snatch away their SNAP benefits right now? If you're not going to do it right now, then I'm not going to vote for it, because this is nowhere near draconian enough for my cold lizard blood. I want to see death, destruction, and I want the tax cuts, but I want to see pain first. So there are several, just full-on crazy Republicans that are voting against it right now because it doesn't go hard enough. So it's everybody went home for the weekend, and we will find out, when they come back, whether or not Chip Roy, who is one of those hardliners, we'll find out if Chip Roy, got a sweetener over the weekend. He got a phone call from Mike Johnson and a little sweetener deal to get him to vote for it. But I really have no doubt that this is going to pass. This is going to go through. It's just taking Mike Johnson a little bit longer than he wants to. But unfortunately, it looks like it's probably going to go through. There are definitely enough Republicans. There are more than enough Republicans, so much more that a couple of moderate Republicans who live in purple states can freely vote against it, so they don't get blamed for the big, huge, beautiful bill that kills everybody's Medicare and cuts taxes for the rich. They will go home and say, hey, I voted against it. It's not my fault. Meanwhile, that is just a nice little protection that Mike Johnson is providing for these purple state representatives, because they have more than enough Republicans to vote it in. So anyway, that's the big, beautiful bill, and that front-loaded piece of shit is guaranteed to get them their tax cuts. But your Medicare, your SNAP, your Social Security, your safety net is just getting chopped off at the knees. And it's going to be ugly when it hits, folks, so just be prepared. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.